Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cosmically Curious with your host, Gemini Jess. We have a very big week, so we are just going to dive right into the goodies because on top of the eclipse that we have on Wednesday in Leo, we also have multiple activating planetary aspects as well as Mars moving into Cancer. So we got a lot to cover this week, and as always, with a more activating astrological week, it is still going to affect people very differently based on their natal birth chart, their lived experiences, and the circumstances that they find themselves in this week. So as always, take what resonates and please just leave the rest. On Monday and Tuesday, we have a lot of energy peaking in their exact aspects before we move into the eclipse on Wednesday. So on Monday, we have that newly Mercury Leo square Chiron. Now this leads to sensitivity around our ability to express ourselves, around the worth that we put on ourselves based on the validation and recognition and love that we receive from other people, as well as the value that we place on those external validation components, as well as the value that we put on that external validation and the mirror of somebody going, yeah, good job, you got this, or kind of along those lines of what we've been talking about with the Leo energy over the last few weeks. So we start this week off a little bit tender already. And then we do have Venus trine Pluto, as well as it opposing Neptune. So Venus is in Libra now, and it is going to be trining Pluto in the other air sign of Aquarius, and it's going to be opposing Neptune in Aries here. So we have Venus touching two outer planets, which is usually felt. And then we have Mercury on Tuesday trining Neptune and opposing Pluto. So we have this activation with Pluto and Neptune with two very personal planets, Venus and Mercury, before we even move into the eclipse. Now, what the heck does all of this mean, Jess? Good question. Let's break it down a little bit here. So we have the Venus in Libra trining Pluto in Aquarius. Oftentimes, trines are actually very supportive in terms of what they are bringing out in each other here. And when we think of Venus and Libra, we think of diplomacy in relationship, equal relating, listening, and coming back into equilibrium with the people in our life in a lot of ways. And when it's trine Pluto here, it is the reminder that honest and true communication is a form of deep intimacy. Honesty, even when it's scary, allows us to truly be ourselves and allows other people to truly love us because we are communicating honestly, even if we're afraid of conflict, even if we don't know how somebody is going to receive it. Every time that we reach out our hand in vulnerability, that is what leads to deeper intimacy. We cannot have true intimacy if we are holding things back. That's just not the way it works. And so that is what Venus trine Pluto comes in this week to bring to our attention. Our ability to deepen connection with other people through honesty and shared respect. We need to respect other people, but Pluto in Aquarius is like, but you also have to respect yourself. There has to be a balance, Libra the scales, that we can find here when we are trying to deepen a relationship in our life. Emotional triggers, they are invitations into intimacy. I don't know if you have heard this before, but the concept of the word intimacy and reframing that as into you I see, right? Intimacy, into you I see. How can you show up more authentically within your relationships? How can you move away from performing or putting on this mask of who you think you have to be in order to keep the peace, keep the equilibrium, when really we are being asked this week to not do that. I've been thinking a lot about the concept of fawning this past week and how we jump to, this is very Venus and Libra, how we may jump to a state of fawning because we are trying to please somebody, or we're trying to receive a certain kind of feedback from somebody. Rupture and repair. This is very Venus trine Pluto. Rupture leads to a intentional reconnection and state of repair within relationship in our life. And so really, where can we trust that something like a rupture is actually leading to deeper intimacy through the repair process? We also have Venus and Libra opposing Neptune and Aries. And whenever we have some sort of opposition in the sky, it is really reflected in the people around us, because oppositions are 180 degrees apart. So they're literally looking at each other from opposite sides, and it represents that mirror that we are for other people and that they are for us. In a lot of ways, there can be some sense of blurred boundaries, or the communication might be a little bit more difficult. Aries energy wants to not necessarily have the conversation around an emotion that may be coming up, whereas Venus and Libra is like, we need to talk about this, we need to figure out how we can move through this, and Aries just wants to move on here. We're on the hunt for clarity this week, but the Neptune opposition can make it a little bit confusing, and this idea of, and how our own projections and expectations that we put on other people is ultimately the root of a lot of problems within our life when it comes to relational dynamics. While this energy is coming to a peak on Monday, on Tuesday we have Mercury trining Neptune and opposing Pluto. So like I said, there is a lot of activation here between the Pluto and Neptune, the blurred lines and confusion within the way that we express ourselves with Mercury, within the way that we take up space. And with Pluto, it's about truth. What is the truth here? The first half of the week, it does not feel like it's a time for light, fun, and flirty conversation. The conversations that you'll be having feel much more intense, but for the sake of growth and transformation and a deeper sense of intimacy, Pluto, and compassion and unconditional love, Neptune. With Mercury here too, how we deliver the truth, how we express ourselves, and how we deliver the thing it is that we want to share, that matters. Words hold a lot of weight, especially at the beginning of this week through this eclipse, because of the Mercury activations here. Our words are going to carry a lot of weight this week, and the way that we speak and share and offer up our emotional experience is going to be very, very testy this week, I would say. We do have Venus trine Uranus as well here. So there is a sense of, ideally, the ability to use communication and perspective sharing. It's that air energy, Uranus and Gemini, Pluto and Aquarius, Venus and Libra here. The art of conversation, the art of collaboration between people, and how that can actually be really supportive in reaching deeper states of intimacy and allowing some sort of your vulnerability to really take up space in these moments of interaction and truly projection and reflection of your own self towards the other people in your life. So while there is a lot of activation here and a lot of room for miscommunication or confusion, ultimately it's leading us towards deeper intimacy with ourselves, with the people in our life. And the Mercury trine Neptune, there is a lot of space here for a deepening of connection with the people in your life, or it may be really, really internal and deepening your own connection with yourself, being really honest and truthful with yourself about whatever it is that you're moving through right now. All of those planetary aspects are peaking on Monday and Tuesday of this week. However, as we move into the eclipse on Wednesday, that energy is still going to be very much alive and well within our experiencing. The eclipse on Wednesday is at 12:37 p.m. Central Time at 20 degrees of Leo. And this is a south node new moon eclipse. So wherever you have 20 degrees Leo in your chart, that is where you are going to be activated. If you have any planets around 20 degrees as well, those planets are going to be directly aspecting this eclipse. And I know we've talked a lot about our relationship to performance and validation, and how those pieces of ourself, though they come from a very tender and innocent place, can oftentimes really be holding us back from truly expressing ourselves and having any sort of creative legacy or impact on the world. I really want to bring in a new perspective here around the relationship that the Leo energy has to its opposing archetype of Aquarius here. And there's this concept with Leo that I think is not talked about often. I know that I often don't talk about it, but I really want to explore it with you all here today about how there's a part of Leo, the Leo archetype, that is about our purpose in this world, because it's ruled by the sun, and the sun is our light, it's our vitality, and in a lot of ways the sun is our purpose. Now, every planet plays a role in what our purpose is here on Earth, but the sun is very important, and it really asks the question of, like, why are we here? What are we here to do? Leo represents our creative legacy, what we are here to birth into the world, what we are here to give to the world in a lot of ways. And a lot of times we can get caught up in actualizing this purpose that we have, leaning into this authentic self-expression for the sake of feeling a deep-rooted need to bring this thing to life. But when we take it a step further, when we look to the Aquarian opposition that's happening here, it is actually showing us that we all have these very specific gifts. We all have a very specific purpose, or can have multiple purposes, but that is actually meant to be a part of a greater collective purpose that we have. Aquarius is very much about the collective consciousness, the collective experience that we are having, and the idea that we are who we are. We shine our unique light because we are here to bring it out into the world. And it's like, and we are doing a disservice to ourselves, to our close loved ones, and also to the collective community that we might not even be consciously aware of if we are not ourselves, if we are constantly putting ourselves down or trying to fit into a box because that's where we think we're supposed to be. We're not actually being who we're meant to be. And the Leo lesson is to be exactly who you are. And Aquarius tells us that there is space for all of us to be exactly who we are. We don't have to be fighting in front of the stage, right? That's very Leo, wanting to be the center of attention and trying to have the big dramatic entrance. But there's space, Aquarius teaches us, for all of us to be who we are. I will never forget having this realization earlier this year while I was in therapy. And I was working through one of the biggest hurdles in my life that I'm still actively working through. And it is how to be my full self in all of my relationships, and to allow all different parts of me, right? Like, to take up space and to stop compartmentalizing and fragmenting myself depending on where I am and who I am with. And I'll never forget talking to my therapist about this, and I was like, oh, I am doing a disservice to the people I love if I am not exactly who I am. Like, it is that simple, right? But it's hard to be who we are. It's hard to take up space. It's hard to express the desires of our heart. But I think that's something that we're all working towards here. The Leo South Node eclipse that we are experiencing this week is going to bring up a lot of stuff around our need for validation, what it feels like when we get rejected, how it hurts to feel not seen and unloved by people, especially when you're sharing a part of yourself so vulnerably. But when we go beyond that Leo South Node frequency, it's like, okay, once we conquer that part of ourselves and have the ability to just be ourselves and trust that, and of course want validation but not let it define us, then when we actually step into who we are naturally, when we start to share whatever gifts we have, then it bleeds into our ability to make a collective impact that exists outside of our immediate surrounding. So I do believe that the work that we do in our interpersonal relationships goes out into our work that we do in our career or our mission, which then leaks out into a community and a collective that exists beyond what we can truly quantify sometimes. So that is really how I see this eclipse coming up, as well as something that we will all be moving through up and down, in and around over the next 18 months as the nodes continue to traverse through Aquarius and Leo. This is just the beginning of this frequency. Another way that I really think that we will start to see how the nodal shift is going to be affecting our collective experience is talking a lot more about kids. When Jupiter was in Cancer, we were talking a lot about motherhood, whether that was wanting to be a mother or not wanting to be a mother, the woman's choice to choose being a mother or not, as well as conversations around reproductive rights, abortion, adoption, all of that stuff that we've been experiencing within our political landscape. And now as Jupiter moves into Leo and we have the South Node in Leo here, I think we're shifting from the mother to the kid, the children. One of the biggest conversations that comes out of reproductive rights and a woman's right to choose is this idea that we can barely take care of the kids that are living and that are alive. The conversation is really going to continue around motherhood, but now it's going to be a focus on the children and how we can take care of children. So that's an interesting thought I just wanted to throw out there that you guys can start to kind of sit with in your own little world. But that's all I want to say about the eclipse that's happening this week. We'll talk about the second eclipse next week because it's a Pisces eclipse, so it's not quite the same theme, but of course everything's always interconnected. With eclipse season, it's not really a time to be manifesting or setting intentions. I really just want you all to be paying attention. Get a journaling practice in, really tuning into the body through breath work and meditation. I have 2 opportunities to do breath work with me this month for free. One on Monday, the 10th, so probably today, the day you're watching this. Send me a DM if you want to join. All I need is your email, and you can get the recording if you're not able to make it live. And then one on August 26th at 7 p.m. Central Time as well for the Pisces eclipse. So get on board with that because you're not going to want to miss it. But anyways, these eclipses tend to really work underneath the surface a lot of times. Sometimes people don't necessarily see big shifts actualizing or materializing in their day-to-day, but there's a lot of internal stuff happening. Depending on your chart, that will change. But there's something to be said about really letting the eclipses work through you rather than it being something that you have to fight or get through. You're moving with it. You're moving through the energy and allowing yourself to be curious and have a lot of self-inquiry and awareness around the things that are coming up. Truthfully, I don't know what my eclipse story is yet. I'm starting to experience and see it, but oftentimes these eclipses really do tend to kind of take me aback sometimes. This is happening within my 12th and 1st and 6th and 7th house based on whole sign and Placidus. I'm kind of following both. There's a lot of things that are coming up around relationship, work. I don't know. I don't really know what's going to come up yet, but I will keep y'all updated for sure. My recommendation for you on Wednesday is to give yourself an hour to just be with yourself, to journal, to do a meditation, to watch the recording of my breath work that I will send out after Monday night, to really, really be with yourself and see what comes up. Really, I want you to do that most of this week, truly, especially because on Thursday afternoon through Saturday morning, we have an extra long Virgo void moon. So this is really a time where you might think you want to get stuff done, or you might be trying to, but there is going to be a lack of productivity because void moons often slow things down. And so it really is an invitation from Wednesday to Saturday morning to just be with yourself, to get outside, to spend some time with friends, and don't put too much pressure on yourself to get anything done. If you feel like you want to get everything done and you want to fix everything and everything needs to have an answer now, it's okay that you don't have an answer, that you can't get everything done, and that's not really what you're supposed to be doing right now, okay? And then on Saturday, we have Mercury in Leo conjunct Jupiter in Leo, which I think is a really beautiful moment for post-eclipse vibes, because we have the start of the week that there's going to be some things moving within your life, most likely. You might be having to have a conversation. There might be some things coming up at the beginning of this week, so that Mercury conjunct Jupiter can really be a supportive moment for you to start fresh with somebody, or to have a more powerful and expansive conversation that allows you to really set up and look towards the future. However, with Jupiter and Mercury here in Leo, there's always the reminder that Jupiter can be too big. It can be really supportive for conversation, but it also looks like a really dramatic blow up or something. Be really wary still of how you're expressing yourself and the things that you're saying and how much weight they carry this week. But overall, ideally Saturday, Sunday, really coming back into joy, into experience and connection with the people in your life and doing some fun things. It's in Leo. So first part of the week might be a little rocky, might be a little emotionally confusing, or you're just feeling some stuff getting swirly and twirly within you and you're like, what is going on? Where are we going? Just let it happen. Saturday and Sunday, allow yourself to move through some sort of creative expression and release some of that energy by connecting back to joy and fun and creativity and whatever that looks like for you. Okay, my throat is very scratchy today. I'm not sure why, but that is all I have for you. Happy freaking eclipse, my loves. If you are interested in joining either breathwork session, just send me a DM on Instagram and I will get your email from you and I will add you to the invite. I highly recommend this. This is free. You're going to get the recording. I really don't know why you wouldn't just do it. These breathwork practices are themed and curated towards the specific eclipse lessons. This is the funnest part for me about being able to share my breathwork with you, is that I also get to blend it seamlessly with astrology and the themes that we're going through in this moment in time. So not only are you going to be more connected to your own body and your own inner knowing and your own experience of these eclipses, but you're also going to be connected to this real moment in time. And that to me feels very, very powerful, and I'm super excited to continue to share this part of my expression and dive deeper into breath and somatic experiencing of astrology through something like breathwork. So I cannot wait. I do have 4 or 5 spaces left for readings for the rest of August. The link is in my Instagram bio to book. This is going to be one of the last months that I'm offering this astrology session in this format with this free integration call after at this price, because I have some group programs coming up through the rest of the year, and I'm also working on a one-on-one intimate container to offer you all. So if you are wanting to get in at this price, now's your chance, honestly, because by the end of the year, it's going to be gone and things will be changing. We can use these sessions as a time to really reflect on what you are experiencing during this time, how it is showing up in your chart, and what you are being initiated into through this eclipse season. You can read all the shit you want online about the eclipses and how they're affecting your rising sign, but you will get so much more information out of an actual session with me. That's my spiel. You all know where to find me. I cannot speak today. I hope you all have a great week. I think I've said that about 8 times and I've had to edit this out because I'm not doing a very good job of speaking today. This recording is like almost an hour, so that's pretty crazy. Some days I just can't talk. But I hope you all have a great week and happy eclipsing, and I will see you soon. And as always, stay curious.